there has been a new balance patch here for StarCraft 2. This is exciting. By the way, I'm not part of the Balance Council or whatever it's called. I don't know when these are coming out, so I get to experience these just like you guys do. By the way, if you were watching other people's videos on this, I know I'm a week late. I just got back from LA. Not sick anymore. Got to see friends and family. Had a great trip. But I saw that this came out, which is very cool. So I'm going to go over it with you guys and give you my thoughts. Here it says previous patch comments. Patch 5.0.12 is a big effort from the Community Balance Council working on it. And we'd like to thank everybody for providing their feedback, blah, 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 blah. While we believe that some of the previous patch goals were successfully achieved, other goals, for instance, related to Protoss versus Terran matchup, are yet to be accomplished. Certain changes originally received mixed feedback from the community, I guess as expected, and also led to unintentional consequences, particularly in the case of Cyclones in Terran versus Terran, so we might need to revisit those. With the upcoming patch, we want to... with the upcoming patch, we would like to take a more careful approach and focus on fewer goals to improve the current state of the game. The pro gamers involved in the Balance Council feel that the state of Terran versus Zerg and Protoss versus Zerg doesn't require any major balance changes, which is pretty good to hear, by the way. If both sides kind of feel like it's fine, it seems like, and I know people are kind of complaining about this whole thing happening, after Blizzard fell apart and basically stopped supporting the game, but it's interesting to hear the pros are pretty much okay in those matchups. So the goals here, improve the state of Protoss versus Terran matchup at the professional level. And that will be mainly accomplished by Terran units. Address the community concerns about oppressive openings like Cyclone all-ins and Widowmine drops. I personally don't have as much of a problem with that, but I guess, if everybody feels like it's got to go, it's fine. Okay, so for the Liberator, advanced ballistics range bonus reduced from 3 to 2. It did seem like there were a lot of maps with these kind of vacant areas behind like third bases or even the main base where you could just like stick a Liberator and it would just never be found. So I welcome this. I think that's good. It kind of mentions that up here. And I think they can have, it mentions this here. This change has the side effect of helping reduce uninteractive scenarios where there is often no way to find ground units to get in range of a Liberator siege behind mineral lines, and allowing slightly more freedom for map makers to base design for the first 3 bases. So I think that's great. I think we've seen tons of games where Stalkers are running around trying to get in range of Liberators or Queens, and they're just getting scooted back. For the Widowmine, invisibility while reloading now requires Drilling Claws upgrade instead of a constructed armory. So the game was actually like this before. I think this is a good change. That's fine. Just, pace out when the invisibility of Widowmines is going to be a thing in the game. Splash damage radius reduced to 1.75 to 1.5. So I guess especially with StarCraft 2, clumping is such a thing. In StarCraft 1, units kind of almost bounce off each other. In Stormgate, from what I've played so far, although I think there's going to be changes, it doesn't seem like they have the same clumpiness, but I guess they don't want to make it as punishing if you're trying to attack into like an entrenched position for Terran, and like all your Banelings and Lings are going to get wiped out as they kind of squish together. Now gives an attack alert to the enemy when burrowing in range of enemy units. Okay, very cool. Increased visibility of targeting line. That's actually very welcome. And targeted unit. Sometimes when I'm casting, I literally don't see the Widowmines are like in the fight, and then things blow up and I go, oh. So that's one of those quality of life changes. It's good they are doing balancing stuff. So this is what it looks like. That looks a lot better. Just a clear red line. I think even just for viewers, this is an improvement. Addressing long-standing community feedback about the strength of Widowmines at all levels of gameplay, we would like to reduce maximum impact of shots by reducing the radius. Reduce game-ending moments when Armory, Cloak, Widowmines are dropped through Protoss multiple bases in mid-game. It is rough, man. You can just, like, not have your screen in the right spot and then just lose to a Terran. So that's welcome. The Armory cost has been reduced. Only 50 gas. Wow. I wonder if we could have a Thor rush or something like that. Remember when that was actually a thing? Engineering bay, infantry weapons, armor upgrades, cost reduced. Okay. Interesting. No strong feelings there. It says changes to slightly smoothen out the transition for Terran into mid-game upgrades. Partially offset nerfs to other Terran units, as the other changes are expected to have a greater impact in TVP and TVZ. Okay. Yeah, let's see where that goes. Cyclone. Weapon cooldown increased from 0.48 to 0.58. Lock on cooldown, this is very welcome, increased from 0 to 2.86. Damage bonus per weapon upgrade increased from 1 to 2. Weapon now has turret tracking, turns faster, removed damage point, and the health has been slightly increased. I mean, the Cyclone's been kind of a weird unit in its place. I don't like the design of the Cyclone, to be totally honest. There are some units that they brought out in StarCraft 2 that I thought were really cool. Like when the Adept first came out, that was like a really neat idea. I feel like the Cyclone's fairly unimaginative. It says, after the Cyclone rework in the last patch, the Cyclone has caused problems for Protoss players at a professional level as a follow-up to engineering bay block strategies, blocking the Protoss natural expansion, causing them to have expand to a further base. As Hellion drop and Cyclone pressure are now both difficult strategies to deal with, while appearing similar from a scouting perspective, Cyclones also have been difficult to deal with. In early game TVT, I actually kind of like that Cyclones are used a lot early game TVT, but I guess it's a mirror matchup. I guess some of the Terran players are complaining about that. It says it's causing games to often end up in Mass Cyclone versus Mass Cyclone early games, and in various all-ins at lower level plays. Okay, I mean, that's fine. I guess if the question is, like, we're never going to get rid of the Cyclone in StarCraft 2, right? So just keep tinkering with it and figuring out what kind of role it's going to have. I do like some of these early TVT Cyclone builds. I think 2 basing in TVT has become a lot more interesting, at least for me to cast, but okay. I welcome the change. Interference Matrix can no longer target units already targeted or affected by Interference Matrix. Wait, what? Interference Matrix can no longer target units already targeted. Allows for Interference Matrix to be used with rapid fire. So I guess you could just chain them together. Okay, that's fine. This is a cool one. I remember this is what stood out to me most of all when I was in Los Angeles, kind of browsing through this. Sentry, damaged increased from 6 to 6+4 versus shields. So this changes PvP. Having that, I think, is going to make it a lot more doable to actually get sentries out early on PvP. If you got sentries early on PvP, otherwise it seemed like it was a little bit risky. This is pretty cool. It's going to be funny getting used to seeing sentries actually viable in fights, by the way, when I cast the game. Remember in the beta of the game, the sentries were actually really good at attacking. I remember flying to somebody with Mutalisks and trying to kill him, and he just had a bunch of sentries. And I lost the Mutas, and I'm like, what? Obviously, they changed it later on. But this is cool. This is a good fix for this, too. Just +4 versus shields. It's not going to have any interaction in other matchups. So I like this. This is like a smart way to try to fix the game. It would never have occurred to me to just change damage versus shields. Pylon range... pylon sight range increased from 9 to 10. Okay. It looks like the observer can come out just a little bit faster now. Build time's been reduced. These changes are aimed to improve Protoss general scouting and map vision, particularly early game PvT. That is a problem, or has been. It's very hard for Protoss to know what's going on. So that's kind of cool. High Templar feedback can no longer target units with 0 energy. Okay. Allows for feedback to be used more effectively with rapid fire. Okay. Creep spread, the radius has been increased. That's interesting. This change was required by map makers to allow for more freedom in designing the natural base layout without causing issues with the Zerg wall-offs in the Zerg versus Zerg matchup. Okay, that makes sense. Infestor fungal growth range increased from 9 to 10. Vision range, while burrowed reduced. I think that's a good improvement. Unburrowed time increased to just slightly under a second. increased size of moving burrowed infestor. Sorry, increased size of moving burrowed infestor visual effects. Okay. Infestors visually can be hard to see while moving with current visual effects, as it is smaller than the effect of moving burrowed roaches. And they are generally used individually, unlike burrowed roaches. Terrans have struggled in dealing with burrowed infestors, as the time to react to infestors unburrowing and casting fungal growth could be very short depending on a random factor. Overlord transport morph time increased from 12 to 15. Overlord move speed increase. I welcome this. I don't feel like we could see more. We should be seeing more drops, but it's a little bit harder to pull off. It says the times changed. Sorry, the changes to transport overlords in previous patch did not create a significant effect on the utility of the unit, and we would like to bring back a little bit of the strength of harassment from the previous Baneling nerfs. I totally welcome that. This is wild. Worker attack range increased from 0.1 to 0.2, making it a little bit more like StarCraft 1. StarCraft 1 workers can harass a little bit more. I think that's great. I actually prefer the strength that StarCraft 1 workers have. It's also like sometimes you'll probably not just lose a game because your worker can't kill the barracks. It's like that you found in the middle of the map. This also allows map makers to create worker-only paths. So this is really cool. I like this. This is actually reminding me a lot of some of these StarCraft 1 maps. I feel like the StarCraft 1 maps have generally just been better and more creative than StarCraft 2. I feel like StarCraft 2 people got too careful with making the maps a certain way. Zerg rocks. Destructible... Zerg rocks now lose HP off of creep. Very cool. This allows map makers to create rocks that lose HP over time, naturally open up pathways on the maps. These are probably the most exciting changes in the patch, honestly. Mineral fields can now be destroyed by collapsible rocks and towers. So this, I think, is actually some of the these three changes here are some of the most exciting things for StarCraft 2 that you could have. It is like, if you look at the ASL maps and then compare them to the GSL maps, we've had so many GSL maps that make like tiny changes, but they're fundamentally kind of the same thing. I guess the craziest we get is gold bases. There's nothing like that in StarCraft 1, but you know, the advantage that RTS has over other genres, I guess FPS has this as well, is that you can make different maps with different features. So I think we've gone a little bit crazy in StarCraft 1. I mean, we've seen these games where it's like there's a whole portion of the map covered in like a permanent disruption web, or like a bunch of eggs you got to destroy to get through somewhere. But it does make for good games. I think that allows us to learn how to look at the game in a different way. It's fresh. I know some pros don't like it. I mean, even when we get new maps when I'm laddering, oftentimes I'll tick them off and stay with the old maps just because it's a headache to learn. But I think for pro level, this is good. And I think it's really healthy. So I'm glad we're seeing this. Do we know when this patch goes live, by the way, guys? GSL maps feel similar. Yeah, I agree, chat. Well, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video here on my YouTube. See the shirt? See that? It's a Taste OSHA shirt. You can get that at my merch shop, tastelessthreads.com. Now that I'm back in Seoul from my little holiday, I will be making a lot more content. StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1, RTS, and esports stuff in general, as well as some of these future RTS games that are coming out. So please do like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this new patch, what you're excited about, maybe something you don't like about it. I'm curious, and I'm excited to be casting StarCraft 2. GSL is on right now if you're watching this, and this is a recent video. We're on every Thursday, so be sure to join me there. Have a good one, stay safe out there, and I will see you in a future video. Bye-bye.